Hello everyone. This is Kiran from the Automation. Uh, to quick recap from the previous session. So we have uh, I given overview on the mm, table of content. What I'm going to cover part of the setup, and then we have seen about the what is the prerequisite and what we need it for the uh, uh, setup requirement as a prerequisite, and then we have navigated to the Node.js. We have how to be install and how to be configure, and now that is the second component, which is Android Studio as a the prerequisite. Okay, so let's switch over to the Android Studio. Okay, so we can configure SDK packages without Android Studio as well, but in the recent times, Android Studio software is become so sophisticated that it can easily uh, configure the required the tools for the development as well as some other purposes, and we can easily manage the versions that frequently getting released by the Google and specific to the Android site. Hence, I chose Android Studio to be configured to be installed so that it automatically manages and updates the required components that are needed for the automation side. So you don't need to look for what is the latest version, how to install and all, because Android Studio itself will take care and will give you the picture that the latest updates, and based on your need you may get the things done easily. That's the reason I have taken the studio, but we are not going to enter into the Android Studio. Only just from the first screen itself, we can manage our requirement. Okay. So to begin with, so this is the flow that I have vision towards Android setup. Okay, so it starts with a cycle of the process. Okay, first we need to install the Android Studio. Once that studio is installed, it automatically prompt user to install the SDK packages, which are predominantly managed by the SDK manager. So I'm talking about this particular component we can individually configure, but if you're configuring individually, but maintaining these SDK packages that you have to take the pain to maintain by yourself. Okay, so instead, if you are installing the Android Studio, it automatically install the latest the tools, the APIs, everything um, as continuously part of the this installation, and then it allows you to easily perform updates based on the need. And then the path configuration. Any software, if you are installing, we need to have a path configuration in case if you are attempt to run command line tools. So that's the reason we have to configure the path variables, not only command line, some other purposes we have to be configured this one. And then the next is virtual device. This is where uh, emulator configuration. Okay, earlier if you see previous versions of Android Studio, it was not so stable to configure emulators, and it occupies a lot of space. That kind of difficulties when I tried years back, almost 7 years back. So it took a lot of time and it took a pain to resolve any kind of challenges. But now, when I configured 2 months back, I configured within a 1 hour total entire setup. It's really cool now. Okay, that is one thing. And the next thing is device configuration. This is physical device configuration. Yeah, if you're happy with the emulator, okay. If you have a device and you wanted to run your own script on your own device, that also possible. That I'm going to cover at the end of this, at setup playlist. Okay, so that is also a very uh, easily it has configured and detected within no time. Okay, and then so while you're working on Android automation in the app side, at least you should have some idea of certain jargons, because if you are working on a local setup on the Android side, so you might encounter few issues while you are working on the extensive automation. So at that time, you can easily point out the specific issues if it is related to the API side, or if it is related to the SDK tool side, or if your ADB is not detecting. You can easily convey your message to the your technical team, and you can get it resolved if really related to the app that is developed by the specific environment. Okay, so that's the reason you should know what is SDK manager, what exactly it is and what it does. What is the SDK tools, where these tools are useful, and API levels. What is the API levels where it is useful, and AVD, that is emulator, we call it as a for Android. And if you're talking about iOS, we call it as a simulator. But in Android terminology, we call it as an emulator. And ADB, Android debug. So this is the debug tool for to run the client commands on the device side. Okay, that I'm going to walk through. Okay, and then the next is SDK platform tools and platforms. So these two are useful when you are configuring the emulator. So you have to have this information by hand, so that you can easily pinpoint the particular the challenge that you encountering. Okay, so this is about the Android jargons. Let's move on to the setup side. So in my system, I have already installed the Android Studio, but I have captured the screens over here. It's a user friendly, and you can easily let me take over to the Android Studio, the link that I have provided over here. See, this is the Android Studio, and you need to install directly this one. Okay. Then once you take, it will take you to this is a series of dialogues. Okay. So this is the one, and installation. So these are the three dialogues, sequence of dialogues, and so we have here different devices. Android Auto is there, Android Wearables is there. Okay, Android Mobile and Android TV is there. Okay, for all those we need to have here certain packages. Now automatically here it will give the option to, after installation of the Android Studio, it will allow background, it will create the virtual device. You can also create, or you can ask this particular software to create for you, and then you can create it later on itself as well. Okay, this is the another the screenshots once you start the installation. Okay, then this is the one standard install type that you need to select, and then it will allow you to installing the software, and then UI theme it will be there. Okay, it will ask you to, if you are familiar with IntelliJ IDE idea, so similar kind of uh, appearance you will see in this Android Studio itself. Then verify settings. It will ask you to install, these things, SDK, path, these things. So you just keep next, next, next. Okay, and it will allow you to install this one. Yeah. So once this is done, it will install. But I'll launch and show it to you how it look like Android Studio. So I have a shortcut over here. See, I'm not even going inside of this particular tool. I'm managing everything, from this the screen only. So we don't need to do any app or app development or any app or running, nothing. We are doing anything. Only just we are installing this studio for the installation of the SDK packages and APIs. Okay, here you can see. So I'm going to show these two in the next session. Okay. So this is about the Android Studio. So yeah. So that's all, team. This is about the Android Studio, and thanks for watching this session. I'll catch you in the next session. Bye.